Hey guys, so today is Wednesday, and in the next couple days there is going to be the spring equinox. So the spring equinox is where day and night are almost even with each other, and what that means is chicks. So today I'm going to show you some of our chicks, and we have two different kinds of chicks. First we have what's called a Buff Orpington, and a Buff Orpington are these little yellow chicks. This one's name is Link. My son named her. She's a Buff Orpington. She's yellow. When she grows up, she will still be yellow. And the other one that we have is called a Barred Plymouth Rock. Now these ones will turn black and white as they get older. They're black right now, but they have a little bit of white under their wings. And when we got these chicks, one of the things that we had to know about was how much space these chicks were going to need. So we had to do a little bit of math. And what we needed to know was how much area these chicks needed. Now, area is a little different than volume. Area just means that we need to know how big the bottom of this little kennel is, and make sure that we had enough space for the chicks. Now what's really cool about a rectangular prism is that I don't need to measure the bottom, I can measure the top because they have the same dimensions when it comes to the area. And the area, remember, is just the space of a flat rectangle. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I have enough space for these chicks. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to measure the top from that edge to this edge. And if you look really closely, it is at 36 inches, which is 3 feet. Okay? So I'm going to write that down. The width of this rectangle is 36 inches. So when I'm finding the area, the width equals 36 inches. Okay? But we're not done. We also have to figure out the length of it. So I'm going to measure from this edge to this edge. And if you look really closely, it's at 23 inches. Right here. There's 24 at 2 feet, but we're at 23 inches. So now, I go back over here, and finding the area is the length times the width, or the width times length, because you can switch them back around. 23 inches. And that's going to give our area in inches squared. Now remember, area, you're multiplying two different things, so it's squared. So let's do that math. 36 inches times 23 inches. Okay? Now we're multiplying a 2-digit times a 2-digit, so we're going to have to remember many zoos, many animals. Multiply, 0, multiply, add. Okay, so first we go 3 times 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. And then we do 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. And since we have nothing left, we just bring that 0 down. So we multiplied. Now the next one is 0. Because that 2 is in the tens place, we put a 0 right here to remind ourselves. And then we can multiply. 2 times 6. Well, 2 times 6 is 12. So I put the 2 down here. And then I carry the 1. I don't need that 1 anymore. Here's my new one. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. Okay? So we just multiplied. We put our 0. We multiplied again. And now we're going to add. 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 2 is 2. 1 plus 7 is 8, which means that this is the area of our kennel right here is 828 inches squared. Now for each of these chicks, the recommended area for each chick is about 6 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we have 6 chicks. They each need 6 inches. So let's divide 828 divided by the 6 chicks. Make sure that they have the right space. Okay, so I'm going to just bring that right up here. 828. Now, this is the dividend. The divisor is our 6 chicks. 6 can go into 8 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. And then we subtract. 8 minus 6 is 2. Then we bring down our other 2. So now we have 22. 6 goes into 22. Well, let's see. 6, 12, 18, 24. Too much. So 3 times. Put the 3 up there. 3 times 6 is 18. Then we subtract. Now, 8 can't go into 2. You can't take 8 away from 2. So we have to borrow. So this 2 becomes a 1. This 2 becomes a 12. Now 12 minus 8. The best way to do that, let's just count it from 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Which means 12 minus 8 is 4. And 1 minus 1, that's just 0. So we don't have to put anything. And our last one, we have this 8 still hiding up here. So we got to bring it all the way down. And we have 48. 6 goes into 48. Well, let's see. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. It goes in perfectly, and it goes in 8 times. So we put the 8 up here. 8 times 6 is 48. 48 minus 48, well, that's just 0 because it's the same number, which means we have no remainder. So each of our chicks has 138 inches squared for space. Now remember, the only space they really need is about 6 square inches. So they have a lot of space in there. Now the interesting thing is that they're just little baby chicks right now. In about 4 weeks, we're going to have to start worrying about them flying, which means we're going to have to not just worry about the area, we have to worry about the volume. And so that's what we're going to figure out next. Now the volume, if you remember, or if you don't know yet, volume is the length times the width times the height. And that will give you the volume cubed. We're multiplying 3 things, it's cubed. The nice thing about this kennel is it's a 3D prism, which means that we can use the length times width times height formula. So we already measured the length and the width. We did that when we found the area. So we don't have to worry about that part of it. So if you look, the length was the length was 23 inches. The width was 36 inches. And we still need the height. So that's what we're going to figure out next. And we already know 23 times 36 is 828. So I'm going to go like this. 828 times, now let's measure the height. So I start at the bottom and I go up to the top, and this one's just short of 25 inches. If you look, it's actually 25 inches and a quarter of an inch right there. Okay? Now, we haven't really done that, so I'm just going to round down because it's closest to 25 inches. So I'm just going to round a little, and we're going to go to 25. Which means we're going to do 828 inches times 25 inches to get our volume. How big the inside of that whole rectangular prism is. So 828 times 25, I can't just do that in my brain. I have to turn it into a standard algorithm. So I'm going to go 828 times 25. And because 25, again, is a 2-digit number, we have to do many zoos, many animals. Multiply, 0, multiply, add. Okay? Those are our steps. So we multiply first. 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus that 4 is 14. Carry the 1. 5 times 8, again, is 40. Plus 1, that makes it 41. Now we're on to the 0. We need to add a 0. I know there's a 0 here, but that's not the 0 we need. We need another one on the second row. And that's because that 2 is in the tens place. Then we multiply again. 2 times 8 is 16. Nope, we already used the 4. Carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. And 2 times 8 is 16 again. But because we have nothing left, we just go right here. So, our last step is to add. 0 plus 0, that's easy, that's 0. 4 plus 6 is 10, so I have to carry the 1. 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 4 plus 6 is 10 again, carry the 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, if you look, we need to start putting a comma in here because we're into the thousands. So we go 1, 2, 3, comma. So our volume of this whole rectangular prism, this kennel, is 20,700 inches cubed. That's a lot of space. Now they're going to get even bigger, and then this won't hold it anymore, so we'll have to have a bigger rectangular prism. But the cool thing about volume, area, rectangular prisms is that you can find them anywhere in your house. So I challenge you, look around, find the rectangular prisms that you have in your house, and figure out what their volume is. And if you don't have a tape measure, measure in shoes, measure in your hand. How many hands does it take? Measure in the width of your finger if it's something small. But look around. This kennel is a rectangular prism. We have a chest that it's sitting on. That's also a rectangular prism. And even things that maybe you don't think are rectangular prisms could be. This bench, if I wanted to ship this to maybe my grandma in Spokane, I would need a box, which means I would need to know the volume of that box. It would be a rectangular prism. And so I would have to measure, what is the height of this bench? What's the width of the bench? What's the length backwards? And then I would multiply all those together, and that's the size of box I would need. So while you're at home, take a look around, see if you can find a rectangular prism, see if you can do the math of the volume. Remember, because it's 3D, we have to use volume, not area. And go ahead and share what your volumes are of your rectangular prisms. Have a good day, and I'll see you later.